She smiled, not the kind of smile born from weakness or fear, but the quiet, razor-thin smile of a woman who already knew the ending of a story everyone else believed they were writing for her. Alara Vance stood near the marble staircase of the Aldridge estate, the soft hum of strings echoing through the ballroom. The chandelier above her scattered light across the room like falling diamonds. Her dress, simple, elegant ivory silk, flowed around her like calm water. She looked serene, almost delicate, which made it easier for people to underestimate her, like they always did. Across the room, the woman who had spent the last 3 months parading herself as the new love of Gabriel Aldridge approached with the swagger of someone who thought she had won. Marina Lockwood, the mistress. She strutted up to Alara with a smirk that cut deeper than any blade and said loudly loud enough for the closest circle of guests to hear, "So you finally decided to show your face. Brave of you, considering everything you've lost." A few women hid their smirks behind champagne flutes. Some men exchanged uncomfortable glances. Everyone loved a scandal when they weren't the ones bleeding from it. Alara simply offered a small nod, a tiny smile, calm, detached, unbothered. Marina scoffed. "Still pretending? You really think acting classy will fix anything? Gabriel chose me, and honestly, who can blame him?" Her voice carried a cruel musicality, sharp and rehearsed. She twirled a strand of her glossy hair and added, "You were always too plain, too quiet, too boring. Men like him need women who excite them, not whatever you are." The guests froze, holding their breath. They waited for Alara to break, to cry, to tremble. She didn't. Her smile deepened barely. A whisper of amusement passed through her eyes. Because Alara knew something Marina didn't. The trap was already set, the timer already ticking, the quiet empire already shifting beneath the surface. And tonight, oh tonight, was the night it would all unfold. But Marina, smug and foolish, mistook Alara's silence for defeat. She stepped closer and said, "You should have stayed home. Embarrassment looks desperate on you." Alara's eyes drifted to the giant clock above the ballroom doors. 8:41 p.m. right on schedule. She turned back to Marina, her voice soft as silk. "You're right, embarrassment does look desperate on people." Marina smirked, proud of herself, until Alara added gently, "But I'm not the one who should be embarrassed tonight." For the first time, Marina's brows pinched. What's that supposed to mean? Alara didn't answer, not in words, because a soft chime cut through the music. The lights shifted, the orchestra paused, and an announcer's voice carried across the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, the board of Aldridge International has arrived." Every head turned, every whisper died, every guest straightened. No one expected them. Gabriel's company board, the same board that had ignored Alara for years, marched into the ballroom in a tight formation of polished suits and severe expressions. Marina blinked, confused. "Why are they here? Gabriel didn't tell me." Alara didn't move, didn't react, just watched, because she had invited them, and they came. The lead board member, an older man with silver hair and sharp eyes, approached Alara first, not Marina, not Gabriel. "Alara," he said respectfully, "everything is ready. We will proceed as you instructed at 9. Marina's jaw unhinged. Proceed with what? Why are you talking to her? The board member didn't even glance her way. "We will make the announcement when the clock strikes." He bowed his head politely to Alara and stepped back with the others. Marina stared at Alara like she was seeing a ghost. You can't be serious," she sputtered. Why would the board listen to you? Elara finally spoke, her voice warm, steady, almost gentle. You assume too much, Marina. What does that mean? Elara stepped slightly closer, her eyes soft but unshakably certain. You think you replaced me, she said quietly. You think Gabriel chose you, and maybe he did. Marina lifted her chin triumphantly. But Gabriel, Elara added, never had the choice you thought he did. Marina's smile faltered. You're not making sense. No, Elara whispered. You're just not listening. 8:54 p.m. The room buzzed with anticipation. Even the orchestra softly tuned their instruments, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. Marina opened her mouth to hurl another insult, but Elara's attention drifted over her shoulder toward the entrance. Gabriel Aldridge had finally arrived, handsome, polished, confident, and walking proudly with his arm around Marina's waist. He looked at Elara with the arrogance of a man who believed he had broken her. Elara, he said lazily, didn't expect you to show. I assumed you'd be at home, sulking, trying to accept reality. Elara smiled not at him, but at the board gathering behind him, at the documents in their hands, at the future already shifting. Then she looked Gabriel right in the eyes and said, Oh, I accept reality perfectly. Marina smirked. Good, then you know your place. Elara's gaze softened. Yes, and tonight, everyone will know it too. Gabriel rolled his eyes. Stop pretending you have power here. Whatever this little show is, it won't work. Elara simply lifted her eyes to the clock. 8:59 p.m. The room fell silent. A single second stretched like a held breath. A string pulled tight, a secret, ready to burst open. 9 p.m. The chime echoed like a gavel. The board stepped forward. The lead member cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here. Tonight, we announce a historic shift in Aldridge. International. Marina's confusion deepened. Historic shift? Gabriel didn't say anything about. The board member continued. Effective immediately, control of the Aldridge Empire passes to its majority shareholder. Gasps scattered across the ballroom. Marina grabbed Gabriel's arm. Oh my God, babe, congratulations. But the board member wasn't looking at Gabriel. He was looking directly at Elara. Mrs. Elara Vance Aldridge, he said formally, your instructions will be executed immediately. The room erupted. Marina's smile shattered. Gabriel turned pale. Guests froze mid-breath. Elara just stood there, smiling. Gabriel's voice cracked first. What do you mean, majority shareholder? That's impossible. I own 41%, the board member answered flatly. Gabriel blinked. Right, and I wait. His eyes widened. No, you didn't. Elara tilted her head gently. I told you, Gabriel. You never had the choice you thought you had. Marina whirled toward Gabriel. What is he saying? Why does she have shares? Elara met her gaze calmly. Because, Marina, when you were busy insulting me, when you were too focused on stealing someone else's life, I was building my own. Marina's breathing hitched. Elara continued, soft but unshakably firm. The day Gabriel married me, he didn't just gain a wife, he gained access to the Vance Trust. Her voice dropped lower. But access isn't ownership. Gabriel's face drained, realization hitting him like a blow. You bought out my partners. Years ago, Elara said, quietly, legally, permanently. The board nodded. Mrs. Vance Aldridge now controls 62%. She owns the company. Marina stumbled back, eyes wide with horror. You're the billionaire everyone talks about? The one no one ever sees? Elara shrugged with elegant simplicity. Money is quiet when it wants to be. Gabriel stepped forward, desperate. You can't do this. We had a life together. You ended that life, Elara said. Not me. Marina grabbed his arm. Gabriel, do something. He tried. Elara, we can fix this, but the board cut him off. Mr. Aldridge, you are hereby removed as CEO effective immediately. More gasps. Marina choked. Removed. Elara turned toward her, voice barely above a whisper. You called me plain, quiet, boring. She paused. But quiet women build silent empires, Marina. Loud women depend on them. Marina's eyes filled with panic. No, this isn't fair. You can't just take everything. Elara's expression remained gentle, almost kind. I didn't take anything. You two walked into the trap yourselves. Gabriel crumbled, realizations settling in his bones. You planned this? Planned? Elara smiled softly. No, I simply prepared. You chose betrayal. I chose strategy. The board approached Elara with a folder. Your car is ready. Security awaits your instructions. She nodded. Then, for the final time, she looked at Gabrielle and Marina, two people who thought they ruined her. Two people who never understood that the quietest woman in the room can be the most dangerous. With calm certainty, she said, You didn't break me. You revealed me. Then she turned graceful, poised, untouchable, and walked through the ballroom as every guest stepped aside, whispering her name with something new in their voices. Respect. Awe. Fear. Her smile stayed soft, steady, victorious. The silent billion-dollar trap had sprung, and she never had to raise her voice.